Hi guys, and welcome to Spring 2021. I am so excited that spring is here, and we've already kicked off with Moriarty the Patriot season 2. So now we're here with something a bit different, something I initially said I had absolutely no idea what it's about. So I went in absolutely blind. This is episodes 1 and 2, so I am chunking them together, so it may be a little bit of a longer episode, but I've got a lot to say, so hopefully you guys can forgive me because I am all hype. First things first, make sure you are subscribed to the channel because you're going to want to get all the notifications for every video going up this season because there's a lot of good anime coming our way and I really can't wait to break them down. There is a Discord channel too if you want notifications whenever videos go up, and it's a place where you can keep on track of delays if there's anything going your way. So without further ado, we're just going to jump straight into it and just get ready to hear a lot of praise, okay? There's going to be a lot of praise coming our way. A few things to take on board before going into this essentially is this is Wit Studio. The reason I took this anime on mainly is because I am a huge fan of Wit. I've watched a lot of their earlier works and this has got some vibes with some of their early work, and I'll mention that at the end. You can check out that anime too. So, first things first, let's just get the obvious out the way. It has got the Macross Frontier vibes with the idea that Vivy's mission is to sing, make people happy through her singing. It's got those vibes. With this being an anime centered around AI, this has got vibes from many different types of AI franchises out there. Things like the Detroit Human. Vivy literally has an icon on her neck that changes colour. Very similar in Detroit Human where you've got it on the head instead. I like this, and you can definitely see that the Wit Studio themselves, the people who worked on this, the team behind it, are definitely influenced by these things. I'm happy they do because this is definitely a topic that I've got a lot of interest in. The contrast, the open in general, let's talk about a very cold open indeed. It's also contrasted heavily with the very happy, joyful music as we enter this, I think it's called Nearland, and it's happy, there's singing, and it's colourful, and there's suddenly it's just going downhill very quickly for humanity. This colourful paradise is very beautiful, but the scenes are ominous. So we've got the clock. The ticking is really heavy. I was listening in headphones and it was just that heavy shift as it clicks up. The scenes of panic and death, the AI murdering people, these drones as well, mowing people down. The open is cold, but it's poignant. It sets a scene. Very interesting open because we open that 100 years in the future, so we know what's going to happen. So we are, as an audience, like the AI who gets sent back, we live through what's about to happen. So we know what's going to happen. A lot of the imagery as well in these early sequences are very saturated. So things feel a bit too bright. Everything looks wrong. Something just feels out just by the way the images are being shown to us. Get some really fantastic sequences just contrasting everywhere. We've got the happy singer on the stage who is happy, but she's singing to an audience in fire and who is dead. Very saturated, very bright, very dark. Really liking it. Definitely getting those very heavy Detroit Become Human vibes going through very fast. We end up with our scientist. Gives us all the flashbacks of the possible foreshadowing. I think he actually flashbacks a few of the characters who we might be meeting upon this journey. And then we also get our first look at the world. This is all world building as well. We've seen the world up until this point, how futuristic everything looks. The fact that he's literally typing on pads in the air. Really like it. We get a look at the tech. And that's obviously when he starts to set our story in motion and he sends the AI back. But it's world building and it's visual storytelling at its peak. We learn from all of this. The AI is part of the culture. AI is there. People are happy to see the AI. Generally, when it comes to AI films, they would treat them as AI. They don't treat them like they do in this. In this, they seem to be part of the culture. They're all mixed together. There's no real divide in this. This is our cold open. We don't get our OP in the first episode, but it's a cold open and we get our cold entrance into Vivy with some beautiful transitions as well as this guy ends up being shot and then we see him hitting the button and then boom, we're open on our MC, Vivy, or Diva as she is, that's her model. The blue hair, blue eyes. The choice of blue is a good choice because blue is generally cold and detached. She is an AI. Blue is a confident character. She definitely gains confidence over these 2 episodes. It's cold, it's detached. She's an AI. She's having to deal with the idea that She even gets reminded to smile. So Momika, the child we meet, introduces us to Vivy in a sense, telling us that she has to smile, telling us about the fact that she mimics idols. She's a robot, so it's going to be very, very interesting to watch Vivy develop. I thought it was really, really nice that the counter was visible in the corner of the screen, which shows singularity, etc. on the top. Like the fact that that is there. We also learn via Momika, who is very important to storytelling here, how Vivy and her met. She ended up being separated from her dad, and then Vivy ends up lending her a hand. Questions that come when it comes to AI and it comes to that is she simply just following a code? Fun topics are going to be coming out of these videos, hopefully, as well. We also learned that it is Vivy's first birthday. She's about to enter a 100-year journey with us. The lighting, absolutely fantastic. Lighting in all of these scenes is beautiful. The lighting on her face as well, very directional, very, very nice. Whenever Vivy comes into the screen as well, I like the fact that us as an audience seeing what she's seeing, we see the counters, the gauges on the bottom of the screen. We know that she's looking at the world around us as well. Us, at the same time as Vivy, we are learning about the environment that we are now in. You guys are going to get bored of it, but I'm just going to keep praising the world building, how saturated these pictures feel, but how beautiful it is. You get a feel of this very happy amusement park. The cues, you understand, there's AIs acting as guides all around it. Fantastic, really do like it. Everything is really bright and colourful because amusement parks are supposed to be a place of happiness. Navi, which is quite fun. I'm wondering if that is a nod towards Zelda or anything, because she's a little bit on the annoying side. She ends up providing us with that interesting line of thought, the idea that you're simply just following your program. So they don't really act on impulse, or they don't really have desires like humans. So we keep hearing that Vivy wants to acting to her heart's content, to her fullest of her abilities, but that's where we have to go along the kind of code, whether she can possibly do that, because she technically doesn't have a heart in a sense. The eyes as well. I've got to go back to just praising the artists on this project. The eyes. Look at the eyes. They are absolutely gorgeous. And you can tell they're supposed to be real camera lenses. They're supposed to be lenses like in the camera. And if you look at a camera, there's always beautiful colours which you see in the glass. You can see that in this image. This image is gorgeous. And what I really do like about this anime is the fact that we go from beautiful painted backgrounds, beautiful painted scenery, and beautiful eye details that are simply put in at the correct moments to make you feel something. It's eye candy. This anime is eye candy. The counter in the corner suddenly goes red, which is fantastic because red is often used to give us danger, give us a warning sign saying something is quite wrong. And this is exactly what happens. This is where the plot decides to kick in. Thing I really like about these episodes as well is it's paced. She hears some screaming, ends up breaking and falling off the stage, but as she breaks, then shown at the intro, everything that we as an audience have seen being replayed to her. We end up with a very fantastic transition. I really like the fact that there's a lot of glitching going on. The glitching really, really works. It transitions to a really interesting sequence where we get a lot of beautiful colours, a lot of gorgeous lighting, and it's like a water painting. You can imagine somebody has painted this by hand. It looks gorgeous. The lighting is still saturated. This time that is playing a role. We cannot see outside the window because there is no outside. We are within the AI network. So we can essentially say Vivy has gone inside her head. We hear the nickname Diva being called a few times. Her role in life is a diva. She is an idol. So that is essentially the make of the model. Very Detroit Become Human again, where all of the androids were named based upon their roles and their jobs. We are introduced to our second character, and I think it's very important to have this second character. And the second character, essentially, I'm going to call him the Exposition Cube and then Exposition Teddy. I know he has got a name, but he's taking on the name of the scientist who sent him. But I like my name better. I'm going to call him the Exposition Cube for now. And he tells us he's come 100 years in the future. And he starts to give us a bit of information upon what us as an audience has seen. So up until this point, we don't know what we've seen. We just saw the mass murder of a few people and it transitioned into this world. Well, what we actually saw was the wiping out of the humans, a war. She calls this a virus. The fact that he even toggled her off so the AI archive doesn't answer her. So we know immediately this virus, this Exposition Cube, is powerful. He's powerful enough to turn her off from what she's supposed to be doing, take her out of the network. We end up with him telling her, I want you to join me and destroy AIs, which is a bit of an interesting mission. an AI to destroy AIs, which will lead us back to a transition, so we don't actually hear the answer. We transition back to the real world. Vivy is being repaired, but we have a voice in her head now. So exposition cube is still in her head, but nobody else can hear it. The beautiful artwork, I've got to keep just gushing about art and lighting and sound on this because it is beautiful. I like the fact that AIs can also perform their own checks on themselves. We see that the earring she's wearing allows her to connect to the computer. Now that we've actually got exposition teddy bear, I like it. I didn't like the floating voice, it was just a voice in her head. I like Vivy's initial reaction as well to the truth, where she's told the truth and she actually denies it. She's like, this is a fabrication. I'm curious to wonder whether it's in her code to reject this, to put it down as fabrication, to actually ask questions instead of accepting things as truth. The future we're trying to prevent is what a lot of people do fear. A lot of people do say one day the AI is going to rise up against humanity. That is exactly what we're trying to prevent in this anime. The artwork is beautiful. We get to see all of the buildings. We even get to see the buildings in the background, out in the background, so they're in the blue. This picture is absolutely beautiful. You know that there's a hard copy of this somewhere, and I want that hard copy. But again, it shows you the world around you. It gives you a bit of world building via storytelling. Exposition teddy bear decides to answer the age-old "how do I prove I'm from the future" question with a really, really good method, essentially telling her, I know what's about to happen. This is where we get the first of our fantastic action sequences. The sequence of Vivy running over to prevent this bomb from exploding. I like the fact we also see the map overlaid in her viewpoint because that is a program that's clearly running. She's clearly using a map at this point to get there as quick as she can, find the quickest route. The music is beautiful. Really, really love the music. And seeing her actually in action, she ends up like grabbing them, putting them to the ground, seeing a AI essentially in action as well. Really, really loving it. And she ends up preventing the victim, I think his name's Aikawa. She ends up preventing him from being hurt and injured. Where we start to learn about a key feature that we are also trying to prevent. The man Aikawa is trying to push forward the AI naming law, which actually, in simplified terms, allows an AI to have social rights. So rights like a human. This is what I initially told you guys, especially in that 100-year sequence where we see that they were intermingled. There was no divide between human and AI like you get in some of the AI fictions out there. There was no divide. Especially, I'm going to keep mentioning Detroit Become Human because it's a fantastic game, but it's also got fantastic storytelling. The idea that in that one, there was a clear divide. The androids stood in one section, the humans went in another. In this man is trying to prevent that. He's trying to bring this law forward that allows them to have the same rights as a human being. This law is what we're trying to prevent to go through. So the underlying mystery that we're now trying to work out is who attacked this man. We get a red filter, which signifies, again, danger, and we also have the sunset. From this point forward, Vivy is pretty much heavily involved in this plot, this route of danger. We are introduced to the idea of things like paradox. Vivy has just saved a man who essentially is going to die, but we're going to try and stop him. So it's a possibility, with her saving this guy, has she already prevented a change? Has she already started that change? The idea of a paradox is something we're going to hear a few times, and actually it will be the teddy bear who will be lobbying for paradoxes at points when it becomes necessary as well. It's going to be interesting because we're dealing with time travel at the same time. We're dealing with roots, we're dealing with universes. Is it simply the fact that we're going to create a new universe? So there's a universe where the human race gets wiped out, but we're trying to split off and create a different timeline. It leads us down the routes of things like Steins Gate being the OG when it comes to things like this. The sun starts to set upon the mission, which cements our dedication to the mission. We're in on it. We are going to try and save Aikawa before he is murdered, which jumps us straight into action sequences. Really, really love it. The end is on a gunshot as we have our assailants entering the room, and it's great. We see Vivy, and that is where the end of the first episode is. The ED, there's not a great deal to talk about. The ED is just piano. But it saves me time, I don't have to talk about it. Going back straight into episode 2, jumping back exactly where we ended up. The visuals, again, just look at those eyes. I haven't seen all the animes that are airing this season, but this has got to be up there for at least the prettiest anime of the season. The visuals just look absolutely fantastic. And we jump straight back into the story, wasting absolutely no time, and we have prevented the initial death, the initial trigger, because Vivy has taken on the hit, but it does make me wonder about things like the butterfly effect. So preventing this man's death is clearly key, as it eventually triggers a line of events that lead us to the future. But I do worry whether the teddy bear is evil, there's going to be other effects to just preventing it. And perhaps as well, some people believe that if you prevent something from happening, if it was supposed to happen, it will find another way of happening. Even if he prevents this guy from dying, and let's say the law doesn't go through immediately, there might be other events which will trigger that law eventually being passed. I love the fact that I'm already questioning a teddy bear. I don't trust the teddy bear guys. So we are introduced to the antagonist group Toke. We're going to be calling them Toke. They are the terrorist group, the anti-AI group. Generally, in true style, there's always a anti-AI group. There's always one. And these guys want to kill Aikawa because these guys essentially don't want AIs to have the equal human rights. Whenever it comes to AI dramas, AI fictions out there, there's always a anti-AI faction, people who fear the uprising. Irony that especially the teddy bear also helps convey. Ironic that this guy's death actually leads to him essentially being a martyr. He's seen as a martyr, and it's his death that ends up triggering what they don't want to happen. So they want to prevent this law going through, but with them killing him in that first timeline, that actually triggers them to see him as a martyr and go, well, we must pass this law. This is what he was lobbying. So that law ends up being pushed through faster. So it's very interesting to see that actually having this guy alive perhaps slows down the motion of having that law go through. It's interesting to see that Vivy is also in disguise because we visually see her as herself, but we see this man seeing her as just a general AI that we've got milling around, which makes me start to wonder whether she can perhaps even inhabit other bodies, because we do see the teddy bear do that a few times in the 2 episodes we've got. Obviously, he's a cube, then he turns into a teddy bear, and then later on, he's a giant mecha. So I'm going to have a lot of interesting questions when it comes to this now, because we're only at 2 episodes in, so lots of interesting questions starting to arise. Or the fact that she simply just changes how she's viewed. So she's able to make him see what she wants. I personally also think that the teddy bear is a Easter egg, a nod to the movie AI about a young AI boy and his teddy bear. I really do recommend you guys watch that movie because it is absolutely fantastic. It's a very long movie, and I think the ending is a bit hit and miss for me. Personally, it's one of those things where it's good, but the ending, I wanted a bit more from it, or the ending is very ambiguous in that sense, but very, very good. Definitely recommend it, especially if you're watching things like Vivy and you are into AIs and fiction and things like robotics. Definitely check that movie out. The blue colour lighting in the corridors, where we see the dead AI littering the floors. The blue is cold. Blue is a very cold colour generally. That's why I find it quite difficult to break down Vivy, because it's supposed to be a very cold colour. The music starts to swell as we start to hit a bit of an argument. We start to see some tension start to rise, so the music starts to swell as we hit those tension points. The teddy actually starts to take over Vivy's body and try to forcefully install some combat skills, which to be fair would probably help her out a lot, but it's the fact that he simply takes advantage without even asking any questions, and he basically plugs in. Would you simply trust somebody who is withholding information to do what they pleased? Bearing in mind that he hasn't exactly revealed his whole hand, he knows a lot more that he's willing to let on. As well, the way that he is shown with the red eyes really does kind of put that tension starting to build, because I don't fully trust the teddy bear, and I think that's going to be a big twist hopefully down the line. The tension starts to build as he simply reveals that he doesn't trust her, and he also starts to call her useless. This argument ends up being at the very wrong time. It's one of those moments where the anime actually mocks the genuine trope. Normally, you'll see people arguing in the middle of a fight, which is very inappropriate, very poor timing, definitely not a great place. The anime actually picks up on this. Thankfully, it actually goes, hey, wait, you shouldn't be doing that. And we actually see things going horrifically wrong when Vivy ends up getting knocked out, which triggers a error screen all over our screen. Fantastic, really, really like it. And then what seemingly is one of those fantastic moments, we see both Aikawa and Vivy getting shot. And I was like, okay, oh my goodness, wow, this is mission over. Are they dead? This is it, that's it, the anime's done. No, it's our first plot twist, and this plot twist is really, really fantastic. Did not expect it. No one seems to be safe in this anime whatsoever, and I like that. I like that danger element within this anime starting to build. And, well, both have survived, and how. Let's talk about how this amazing plot twist was pulled off. The virus teddy bear, virus teddy bear sounds cooler, maybe we'll call him virus teddy bear. He ended up putting some images into the goggles that the man was wearing, the Toke member. I essentially thought they were playing the future, where he actually did kill the guy, but he essentially just kind of fed him some false imageries into the goggles. Perhaps he did give him the future. Essentially, he showed him the reality where the guy did die. But it's a fantastic way of getting around this twist. I like the fact that the twist was explained as well. So we saw how they ended up pulling Vivy unconscious away to the lift. And we get our first little jokey moment. Because of the way that they are, I like to liken these two to salt and sugar. They don't really get on. They don't combine very, very well. You wouldn't want to eat both together. Although sometimes sugar and sweet do go quite nicely. We get a really nice funny moment with the way that he kind of tells her that she's heavy, that she should lose some weight, and it's just I'm not capable of losing weight. I feel you, man. I really feel you on that. I'm not capable of losing weight either, but I'm not an AI. But really like it. It gives us a light-hearted moment. It relieves the tension that has been building, because this is a fast plot. These 2 anime episodes, a lot happens in these episodes. Do solidify the story. The foundation is all there within these episodes. And also the moment where he goes, and now we go boom. Love it. As much as I don't trust the teddy bear, I also love the teddy bear for bringing just that light-hearted comic relief at times. Vivy ends up saving a Toke member, and it's just one of those beautiful moments again that we have to stop and just appreciate for a minute. The beautiful lighting, we can hear the dripping as her synthesized blood hits the floor. I like the fact as well that the blood is blue. Generally, when it comes to AI, blood is always blue, just to show that difference between human blood, which is red. We see this moment where she goes against the teddy bear, what the teddy bear doesn't want. Still upholding her original programming. I can't let someone die in front of me. She can't abandon her original assignment. Going to be interesting to see 2 different codings going on. Her original programming and the AI teddy bear giving her a mission, giving her a new mission. Lots and lots of layers of questions I've got going on. Absolutely love it to pieces. We find out that 100 years in the future, Vivy is also there. Vivy actually survives 100 years, and she is in a museum, which is fantastic. I like just her kind of lounging. It looks great. She just looks peaceful in the museum. And it is 2056. So I don't know whether that is the year 100 years forward, or that's the year she was built. So this anime now, the current future, is taking place 2056, and the future we're trying to get to is 2156. She was simply chosen because she was still around. Her body was unaffected by the war. She wasn't influenced to go on that human killing spree. He chose her because her body then would have been present now, if that makes sense. But the soundtrack at this point, absolutely shining through as we start to see Vivy's resolve. It does not matter if she ends up in a museum. She simply wants to save people. She wants to make people happy. Her resolve is absolutely fantastic. We also get to see her standing up. She ends up standing up regardless of being put down by the teddy bear. We also see that this moment as well is a turning point to the Aikawa, who recently announced to everybody that he simply does not care about AIs, which is quite an interesting thing for a guy to say about who is lobbying an AI law which would bring them to be equal with him. This moment of resolve where she stands up, pushing the block off her back as she's overcoming the hardship. She's literally throwing off those shackles. She even rips off her top, which looks like she's shedding her old self and becoming a new self. Love this moment. This moment is absolutely fantastic. The relationship with the teddy bear, who's actually provoking this, who is picking at her. And it's 2 sides of a coin. Both of them want to achieve... So the teddy bear wants to save humans. She essentially wants to save humans. But it's the way to go about it. One of them is sentimental, who wants to save the humans around her. She gets attached and she cares about the people around her. Whilst the other one is still on the mission to save humanity. But he just sees it as a goal. So he would rather just say, we're saving one person, we don't have to save the collateral. Everybody else is simply collateral. Hearing him call her weak... And then that moment where she stands up, just proving that I'm not weak. I'm not what you're saying I am. I love this moment. The music, the soundtrack, I'm just going to have to keep giving it hands down. I really hope that I can get hold of the soundtrack. I want the soundtrack. It is fantastic. As it starts to swell, we start to get the main theme starting to play. And we also just had Vivy's resolve now to bring down the entire building. Using the information from the past, using that footage, that picture of the building collapsed, she notices that the building behind it is not broken. She uses that information to give her a goal. She knows that she has to get this man to safety and the safest place in a building that isn't going to explode. Moment, the visuals, the music, the doors opening together, the colors going from red to blue. This entire sequence is just fantastic. I love this point. The guy who gets saved by the AI too is a possibility this character might have a change of heart down the line. It might be that trope. You always get somebody who ends up changing their heart halfway through because of something that has happened. Although later down the line he does look very angry to have been saved by an AI. But I think this character might come back. He definitely seems important. The jump to the next building, the shot of her in the moonlight, the broken glass, the music, everything. Absolutely everything in this section is visually gorgeous. I'm just throwing out the gushing right now. I have to keep gushing. It's fantastic. Just the full moon. Full moons generally bring out secrets. They are often shown to be revealing the truth. At this point tomorrow, the truth is probably going to be out. We now have the truth. We know what's going on. That man on the floor who sees Vivy jumping as well, he has the truth revealed. Stuff is being revealed, and it's just beautiful. I had to say, it's beautiful. And when she turns around and says, "Have you sustained any injuries?" This is the exact question he first asked her when she saved him the first time round, and she basically gives him her details and stuff, but he was simply asking her, "Are you okay?" She then fires it back at him. It's quite a nice little full circle on that one where she asks him the same question. Where we also hear the same motif being played back by Aikawa is, it's not how long you live, it's how you continue to live. Aikawa is told by the teddy bear to continue hating AIs because he's essentially hoping that will stop him pushing the law forward. But he seems really moved. He seems absolutely moved by this rescue, this whole moment. You can definitely say that this guy is never going to forget this moment in his life. But the teddy bear simply tells us that saving this guy is probably a good way of seeing the law being paused, postponed, not being pushed through as quick, because he says he seems very incompetent. But that's back when I start to worry. So you might have stopped the law going out right this very moment. It's not going to be pushed out within the week, I think it is, within his death. It's going to eventually happen. So I guess the plot is going to be us trying to hit every single point where the law would have been pushed or something like this. We're going to try and counter every single moment that would allow the AIs to possibly uprise and have the same kind of rights as the humans. That is what I presume is our plot. The introduction to Arashiki, the radio tower for the AI, the wireless tower, which I definitely have a theory that might have been something to do with how the AIs all went rogue in the first place. We're going to try and prevent the tower from growing, getting bigger. So 100 years in the future, we're told that you can't even see the top. It's that really nice tall tower. You see it in the poster as well. It's really, really big. Definitely going to be a place that we head to later in the anime for sure. I can definitely imagine us having an episode there at some point. We end up at a very interesting point. He offers her hand, saying, you know, can we do this together? Vivy actually agrees. They end up handshaking. But she does say, as long as my mission to make people happy is not violated. We get a nice little funny moment with the two of him going, "Would you kneel down?" The relationship is just salt and sugar, but it's about to go horrifically wrong quite quickly. Literally with the handshake, we pause on the handshake, that gives us our moment of quiet, and then boom, transition straight back. This anime is very fast-paced. I like the fast-paced nature, and I have a feeling that might be something to do with what's going to happen next episode as well. The transition from the handshake is so quick. We transition straight back into the teddy bear, who has now abandoned his teddy body, and he's now inside a mech, and he's literally beating the living crap out of our diva, who simply wants to alter history, which is what he doesn't want happening. She wants to save people, which will cause that paradox. We see Vivy losing an arm. She literally gives her arm to try and save her friend, the friend Momika, because we essentially see what is driving her to act out. And she wants to prevent the deaths of hundreds of people who are on this plane. This plane goes down because of the building fire or something like that. But the teddy will not allow it because it's not their mission. And it also might cause that paradox that will also alter history. And this is where it gets sad. It goes in the feels. We find out that Momika is on board and everybody on that plane dies, which starts to give you even more questions whether the teddy bear is really good, Is he evil? It's the idea that we can't save everybody. It's interesting to wonder whether she could have even done anything. Is there anything that she could have physically done to save that plane anyway? It looks like the teddy bear's going to be going down the line, that sacrifices are necessary to prevent the war that's coming up. And that is the end of the 2 episodes. I know this is a long one, but they dropped at the same time, so I decided I'd talk about the 2 at the same time, wrapping them up as well. I've just got to get it out of the bat. The artwork, the music is stunning. I can't fault the artwork and music. It is fantastic. You can see that it's been hand-drawn. You can see that somebody has painted it. You can definitely go and look at some of the previous artworks floating around for it, because they are fantastic. It's what gave me a feel for what the anime might be about by looking at it. Artwork and the music simply paired together is what is bringing this anime simply to life. It's also giving us visual storytelling to the max. The sequence of Vivy running to the second building is insane. It's beautiful. Every single moment actually feels awe-inspiring as she jumps. It feels tension. You can feel tension as they're running to try and get off the bridge as it collapses underneath them. I don't trust the teddy bear, and that is what I think is going to be such a key point of this anime. Because he's also our only key to saving the future. He knows what's going to happen, so we need the teddy bear on side, but we also can't trust him because he's trying to do things his way. This dynamic between the 2 is fantastic. Seeing the 2 bouncing off one another is great. And we start to get some very funny moments because of this kneel down moment, the loosen weight moments as well. It's explosive, it's fast-paced, it's action-packed, it's fantastic. I am worried that it's also going to go under the radar because of how jam-packed this anime season really is, which is sad, but it is a fantastic anime, and I hope that there are people out there who are watching this anime. The world building is fantastic. It is visual storytelling at its best. Vivy as an AI, having an MC, a main character as an AI who is not a human in a sense, is going to be very interesting. It's going to be hopefully a journey simply like Detroit Become Human. I keep mentioning this because I think there's a lot of similarities here where even in that game, you play as the AI. You start to connect to the AI within it. I think that possibly might happen here. I think that this plot is full of potential. There's so much potential within this plot. I really can't wait to see what journey we go on. The fact as well that we are told that it's a 100-year journey, that might explain why our plot is fast-paced. We need to be moving quite quickly to get those 100 years starting to be knocked out of the park, I think. I love the fact that it is a nod towards other AI fictions, such as Detroit Become Human, AI, Macross. We've got iRobot. You've got things like Steins Gate being thrown into here. The Easter egg as well, with the teddy bear to the AI. Let's also talk about the laws of robotics created by Issac Asimov. Definitely recommend you go and check out some of his works if you're into this. The AI law that is simply being passed gives me a few of those vibes. Essentially, the laws that Isaac created were things like a robot is not allowed to harm humans. There's a set of guidelines that a robot has to follow. But this law, the AI naming law that is being introduced into this anime in particular, it kind of goes against it a little bit. So it's going to be interesting to see how that goes down. I've got so many questions building already. This anime is surprising me. I went into this anime with absolutely no idea what it would be about. There was no proper premise. I avoided all the trailers as well. I think the trailers hit really, really late. So by the time they were out, I was already chilling out because I had that week period where I chilled out before the anime seasons kicked off again. So I didn't really catch any of them. But I am blown away. I am a huge follower of Wit Studio. I think Wit Studio is amazing at what they do. Their original work's fantastic. Now, the anime I told you about earlier that actually has very much similarities between this anime is an anime named HAL, H-A-L. If you guys go and check it out, it is simply a movie. It's like 1 episode long. It's all about the idea of AI. And the way that this anime presents itself is a twist because it starts from one point of view and then it jumps to another. It's got the ideas of an AI. The idea of robotics is all there. I believe that this anime maybe even gave them a springboard. They're using a lot of the different techniques that was in that anime of the robots and how human they look. I definitely recommend you guys go check that out if you've got a spare time, or even if you are a fan of this kind of work, or even just a Wit Studio fan in general. Definitely check it out. I don't want to give too much away about that anime, so I'm just telling you guys, go check that one out. It's only 1 episode. Just find a quiet patch of like about an hour and go and sit down with that one. Absolutely blown away. I've got so much I want to say. I had to compose myself quickly to write this and get this out. I really cannot wait to see where this anime goes, and I think it's full of potential. I really do. I think the soundtrack is fantastic. I am so happy to have seen this anime. I hope you guys are doing very well. Have a great day, guys, and I'll see you next time. Goodbye, guys. Bye-bye.